St. Augustine Commentary on Psalm 52. The title of the psalm has, at the end, understanding of David, when there came Doeg the Edomite and told Saul, David has come into the house of Abimelech, whereas we read that he had come into the house of Ahimelech. And it may chance that we do not unreasonably suppose that because of the similarity of a name and the difference of one syllable, or rather of one letter, the titles have been varied. In the manuscripts, however, of the Psalms, when we looked into them, rather Abimelech we have found than Ahimelech. And since in another place you have a most evident psalm intimating not a dissimilarity of name, but an utterly different name, when, for instance, David changed his face before King Achish and before King Abimelech, and he sent him away, and he departed. And yet the title of the psalm is thus written when he changed his countenance in the presence of Abimelech. The very change of name makes us the rather intent upon a mystery, lest you should pursue the quasi-facts of history and despise the sacred veilings. Observe ye two kinds of men, the one of men laboring, the other of those among whom they labor, the one of men thinking of earth, the other of heaven. The one of men weighing down their heart unto the deep, the other of men with angels their heart conjoining. The one trusting in earthly things, wherein this world abounds, the other confiding in heavenly things, which God, who lies not, has promised. But mingled are these kinds of men. We see now the citizen of Jerusalem, citizen of the kingdom of heaven, have some office upon earth, to wit, one wears purple, is a magistrate, is aedile, a proconsul, is emperor, does direct the earthly republic, but he has his heart above. If he is a Christian, if he is a believer, if he is godly, if he is despising those things wherein he is, and trust in that wherein he is not yet. Of which kind was that holy woman Esther, who, though she was wife of a king, incurred the danger of interceding for her countrymen, and when she was praying before God, where she could not lie, in her prayer said that her royal ornaments were to her but as the cloth of a menstruous woman. Esther 14:16. Despair we not then of the citizens of the kingdom of heaven, when we see them engaged in any of Babylon's matters, doing something earthly in republic earthly, nor again let us forthwith congratulate all men that we see doing matters heavenly, because even the sons of pestilence sit sometimes in the seat of Moses, of whom is said, What things they say do ye, but what things they do not, for they say and do not. Matthew 23:3. Those amid earthly things lift up heart unto heaven, these amid heavenly words trail hard upon earth. But there will come time of winnowing, when both are to be severed with greatest diligence, in order that no grain may pass over unto the heap of chaff that is to be burnt, that not one single straw may pass over to the mass that is to be stored in the barn. Matthew 3:12. So long as then now it is mingled, hear we thence our voice, that is, voice of the citizens of the kingdom of heaven. For to this we ought to aspire, to bear with evil men here, rather than be borne with by good men. Let us conjoin ourselves to this voice, both with ear and with tongue, and with heart and work. which if we shall have done, we are here speaking in those things which we hear. Let us therefore speak first of the evil body of kingdom earthly. Why does he glory in malice that is mighty? Verse 1. Observe, my brethren, the glorying of malignity, the glorying of evil men. Where is glorying? Why does he glory in malice that is mighty? That is, he that in malice is mighty, why does he glory? There is need that a man be mighty, but in goodness, not in malice. Is it any great thing to glory in malice? To build a house that belongs to few men, any ignorant man you please can pull down. To sow wheat, to dress the crop, to wait until it ripen, and in that fruit on which one has labored to rejoice, does belong to few men. With one spark any man you please can burn all the crop. To breed an infant when born, to feed him, to educate, to bring him unto youth's estate is a great task. To kill him in one moment of time anyone you please is able. Therefore, those things which are done by distraction, those things which are done for distraction are most easily done. He that glories, let him glory in the Lord. 1 Corinthians 1:31. He that glories, let him glory in goodness. Thou gloriest because you are mighty in evil. What are you about to do, O mighty man? What are you about to do, boasting yourself much? You are about to kill a man, this thing also a scorpion, this also one fever, this also a poisonous fungus can do. To this is your mightiness reduced, that it be made equal to a poisonous fungus. This therefore do the good citizens of Jerusalem, who not in malice but in goodness glory. Firstly, that not in themselves but in the Lord they glory. Secondly, that those things which make for edification they earnestly do, and do such things as are strong to abide. But things which make for distraction they may do, for the discipline of men advancing, not for the oppression of the innocent. To this mightiness then, that earthly body being compared, why may not hear out of these words, why does he glory in malice that is mighty? In iniquity the whole day, upon injustice has your tongue thought. Verse 2. That is, in the whole of time, without weariness, without intermission, without cessation. And when you do not, you think, so that when anything of evil is away from your hands, from your heart, it is not away. Either you do an evil thing, or while you cannot do, you say an evil thing, that is, thou evil speakest, or when not even this you can do, you will and thinkest an evil thing. The whole day then, that is without intermission. We expect punishment to this man. Is he to himself a small punishment? Thou threatenest him. Thou, when you threaten him, wilt send him whither? Unto evil? Send him away unto himself, in order that you may vent much rage. You are going to give him into the power of beasts, and to himself he is worse than beasts. Within again himself he does wage of himself, and do you from without seek for stripes? Nay, pray God for him, that he may be set free from himself. Nevertheless, in this psalm, my brethren, there is not a prayer for evil men, or against evil men, but a prophecy of what is to result to evil men. Think not, therefore, that the psalm of ill will says anything, for it is said in the spirit of prophecy. There follows then what? all your might and all your thought of iniquity all the day, and meditation of malignity in your tongue without intermission has performed what? Done what? As with a sharp razor you have done deceit. Verse 3. See what do evil men to saints, they scrape their hair. What is it that I have said? If there be such citizens of Jerusalem that hear the voice of their Lord, of their King, saying, Fear not them which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul, that hear the voice which but now from the gospel has been read. What does it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world, and of himself make wreck? Matthew 16:26. They despise all present good things, and above all life itself. And what is Doeg's razor to do to a man on this earth, meditating on the kingdom of heaven, and about to be in the kingdom of heaven, having with him God, and about to abide with God? What is that razor to do? Hair. It is to scrape. It is to make a man bald. And this belongs to Christ, who in the place of a skull was crucified. Matthew 27:33. It makes also the son of Curie, which is interpreted boldness. 1 Chronicles 6:22. For this hair signifies the superfluity of things temporal, which hairs indeed are not made by God superfluously on the body of man, but for a sort of ornament, yet because without feeling they are cut off, they that cleave to the Lord with their heart, so have these earthly things as they have hair. But sometimes even something of good with hair is wrought, when you break bread to the hungry, the poor without roof you bring into your house. If you shall have seen one naked, you cover him. Isaiah 58:7. Lastly, the martyrs themselves also, imitating the Lord, blood for the church shedding, hearing that voice, as Christ laid down his life for us, so also ought we also to lay down for the brethren. 1 John 3:16. In a certain way, with their hair did good to us, that is, with those things which that razor can lop off or scrape. But that therefore even with the very hair some good can be done, even that woman a sinner intimated, who, when she had wept over the feet of the Lord, with her hair wiped what with tears she wetted. Luke 7:38. Signifying what? That when you shall have pitied anyone, you ought to relieve him also if you can. For when you have pity, you shed as it were tears. When you relieve, you wipe with hair. And if this to anyone, how much more of the feet of the Lord? How much more to the feet of the Lord? The feet of the Lord are what? The holy evangelist, whereof he said, How beautiful are the feet of them that tell of peace, that tell of good things. Therefore, like a razor, let Doeg wet his tongue. Let him wet deceit as much as he may. He will take away superfluous temporal things. Will he necessary things everlasting? You have loved malice above benignity, verse 4. Before you was benignity, herself you should have loved. For you were not going to expend anything, nor were you going to fetch something to love by a distant voyage. Benignity is before you, iniquity before you. Compare and choose. But perchance you have an eye wherewith you see malignity, and hast no eye wherewith you see benignity. Woe to the iniquitous heart! What is worse, it does turn away itself, that it may not see what it is able to see. For what of such has been said in another place? He would not understand that he might do good. For it is not said he could not, but he would not, he says, understand that he might do good. He closed his eyes from present light. And what follows? Of iniquity he has meditated in his bed, that is, in the inner secrecy of his heart. Some reproach of this kind is heaped upon this Doeg the Edomite, a malignant body, a motion of earth, not abiding, not heavenly. You have loved malignity above benignity. For will you know how an evil man does see both? And the former he does rather choose, from the other does turn himself away. Wherefore does he cry out when he suffers anything unjustly? Wherefore does he then exaggerate as much as he can the iniquity and praise benignity, censuring him that has wrought in him malignity above benignity? Be he then a rule to himself, for seeing out of himself he shall be judged. Moreover, if he do what is written, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Matthew 22:39. And whatsoever good things he will that men should do unto you, these also do ye do unto them. Matthew 7:12. At home he has means of knowing, because what on himself he will not have to be done, he ought not to do to another. You have loved malice above benignity. Iniquitously, inordinately, perversely, you would raise water above oil. The water will be sunk, the oil will remain above. You would under darkness place the light, the darkness will be put to flight, the light will remain. Above heaven you would place earth, by its weight the earth will fall into its place. Thou therefore will be sunk by loving malice above benignity. For never will malice overcome benignity. You have loved malice above benignity, iniquity more than to speak of equity. Before you is equity, before you is iniquity. One tongue you have, whither you will you turn it. Wherefore then rather to iniquity and not to equity? Food of bitterness do you not give to your belly, and food of iniquity do you give to your malignant tongue? As you choose whereon to live, so choose what you may speak. Thou preferest iniquity to equity, and preferest malice to benignity. Thou indeed preferest but above what can ever be but benignity and equity. But you, by placing yourself in a manner upon those things which it is necessary should go beneath, will not make them to be above good things, but thou with them will be sunk in unto evil things. Because of this, there follows in the psalm, you have loved all words of sinking under. Verse 5. Rescue therefore yourself if you can from sinking under, from shipwreck you are fleeing and dost embrace lead. If you will not sink, catch at a plank, be borne on wood, let the cross carry you through. But now because you are a Doeg the Edomite, a motion and of earth, you do what? You have loved all words of sinking under, a tongue deceitful. This has preceded words of sinking under, have followed a tongue deceitful. What is a tongue deceitful? A minister of guile is a tongue deceitful, of men bearing one thing in heart, another thing from mouth bringing forth. But in these is overthrowing, in these sinking under. Wherefore God shall destroy you at the end. Verse 6. Thou now you seem to flourish like grass in the field before the heat of the sun. For all flesh is grass, and the brightness of man as the bloom of grass. The grass has withered, and the bloom has fallen down, but the word of the Lord abides for everlasting. Isaiah 40, 6-8. Behold, that to which you may bind yourself to what abides for everlasting. For if to grass and to the bloom of grass you shall have bound yourself, since the grass shall wither and the bloom shall fall down, God shall destroy you at the end, and if not now, certainly at the end he shall destroy, when that winnowing shall have come, and the heap of chaff from the solid grain shall have been separated. Is not the solid grain for the barns, and the chaff for the fire? Shall not the whole of that doing stand at the left hand, when the Lord is to say, Go ye into fire everlasting, which has been prepared for the devil and his angels? Matthew 25:41. Therefore God shall destroy at the end, shall pluck you out, and shall remove you from your dwelling. Now then, this doing the Edomite is in a dwelling, but a servant abides not in the house for ever. John 8:35. Even he works something of good, even if not with his doing, at least with the words of God, so that in the church when he seeks his own, Philippians 2:21, he would say at least those things which are of Christ. But he shall remove you from your dwelling. Verily, verily, I say unto you, they have received their reward. Matthew 6:2. And your root from the land of the living. Therefore, in the land of the living we ought to have root. Be our root there. Out of sight is the root. Fruits may be seen, root can't be seen. Our root is our love, our fruits are our works. It is needful that your works proceed from love. Then is your root in the land of the living. Then shall be rooted up that doing not anywise shall be able there to abide, because neither more deeply there has he fixed a root. Matthew 13:5. But it shall be with him in like manner as it is with those seeds on the rock, which even if a root they throw out, yet because moisture they have not, with the risen send forthwith do wither. But on the other hand, they that fix a root more deeply hear from the apostle what? I bow my knees for you to the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, that you may be in love rooted and grounded. And because there now is root, that he may be able, he says, to comprehend what is the height and breadth and length and depth, to know also the supereminent knowledge of the love of Christ, that you may be filled unto all the fullness of God. Of such fruit so great a root is worthy, being so single, so budding, for budding so deeply grounded, but truly this man's root shall be rooted up from the land of the living.